Okay, time out, everybody. New rule. I'm adding a new rule to Hollywood, and everyone has to follow because I said so. You are not allowed to split a movie into two parts unless you have permission from the author of the book that the movie itself is based on. If the author is dead, tough beans. Let's all go on the review. Hello everyone, welcome to another LaserDude99 video. Just a quick update before we get on to the review. I'm going to start doing videos again. It's been like 3 months since I've done any videos. Mostly I've been working on Arkham Week and we've hit a little bit of a snag. I only have half the footage. The guy who does the Joker, Einhide657, has been having difficulty on his end, so I haven't got all of his stuff to me yet. Once we do, we'll be in business though, but I wanted to like hold off doing any reviews till Arkham Week so I could fit Arkham Week in there and then it'd be a big thing, but I can't do that anymore, so we're just gonna have to wait on that until later. But anyway, let's forget about that, and for right now, let's get on to the review of Mockingjay Part 2, the fourth in the Hunger Games series, and the conclusion of the quadrilogy. I don't know, what are you gonna... trilogy has such a nice word to it. 4 movies... not so much. But in any case, here we go. We got Katniss Everdeen and all the people from Districts 12 to 2 moving in on the Capitol. It's the final fight, the final end, and here is where all the series wraps up as a whole. We find out what happens with Peeta, with Katniss, with Gale, and all those other characters that you don't even remember. Besides Haymitch. Haymitch is pretty good. Anyway, let's not beat around the bush here. Let's talk about what everybody else is all saying. This movie should not have been split into 2 parts. Now, for me, I'm a guy where once I have something in front of me, it's hard for me to visualize what it would be without it. So, it's like, for me, I don't know. When I look at the story, I'm like, okay, what would they do to shorten this into 2 parts? Like, where would they have Peeta go crazy? How would they fit that? Maybe they needed to do that. Whether or not they could have done it into 1 part, I don't know. That'll be in the future when somebody takes a cut of both films and blends it into 1 movie and posts it online on the internet. Because that's going to happen. You know that's going to happen. Anyway, we will have to wait and see till that happens. Anyway, so we got the Hunger Games crew all moving in on the Capitol, and they're all, fighting, and they're all, trying to do this. Katniss is tired of being the figurehead. She wants to go out into the field and actually be able to kill Snow, because she's so filled with righteous vengeance that she wants to kill and destroy Snow. Let's just take this movie piece by piece. Katniss Everdeen, played by Jennifer Lawrence. Very good. I still say that Jennifer Lawrence is my favorite actress in Hollywood right now. Now, is she... Like, the character of Katniss has always been one where she's more understated. She doesn't have a lot of emotional triggers. She's very reserved, keeps to herself. And, it's kind of one of those type of main characters where sometimes, they can be a little bit of a blank slate for the audience to fill in, but they still have their own personality and own personality quirks. But don't get me wrong, she is her own character. She has a scene in the end which is filled with a powerful acting, and she just pulls off Katniss really, really well. A lesser actress would not be able to pull this character off in such a way, or she would have felt more boring. So I still think Jennifer Lawrence is great as Katniss. Let's just say, I would say the biggest problem in the film, obviously, because it's been split into 2 parts, is the film's pacing. There are some scenes that drag on way too long. There are some scenes where you just see somebody walking from one end of a place to another. I'm like, did we really need to see that? You could have cut that in half, I mean, you don't have to pad out the running time here. They do. They actually do need to pad out the running time. I wish they just had a little bit more interesting padding in this. There are great stuff to this film, too. I like the action. I like the way that the characters interact with things. I like the traps. The traps are really cool and feel like you're in a weird, twisted Mario level. Mario, rated R. Mario running out of ideas soon enough, that'll happen. Anyway, One of the things that I think this movie kind of suffers with is the finality of it all. I want to compare this to the Star Wars franchise a little bit. Let's compare this movie to Return of the Jedi. In the final act, you know, all the rebels put all their plans into this last-ditch effort to destroy the second Death Star. It's a Hail Mary pass, a do-or-die moment. And then when they get there, they realize it's a trap, and they're going down. And then, you know, Luke has to, you know, find a way to defeat the dark side. And then once they do, and then once the satellite blows up and everything, the rebels are able to come back, destroy the second Death Star, and therefore, even though not technically, because there's still the expanded universe, and now the sequel is going to be coming out this year, they win the war in that moment. Now, here's the thing. We got one thing that movie has that this one does not. The risk of loss. Now, here's what I mean by that. When it comes down to it, you look at these characters in Star Wars, let's say, there is a risk that they could lose. This is their last-ditch effort. Everything's going wrong. In this one, I feel like even if Katniss, you know, dies, their side's still going to win the war. I mean, it's like, this feels like the last marches on Berlin, where it's like, the Nazis know they've lost the war, but they still haven't declared their surrender, so they're still fighting the war. That's the type of, you know, scenario we're in right now, we were in at the beginning of the movie. Because it's just like, well, the capital's already lost. They've already lost, but in a way, they kind of use it to their advantage, because now the focus is on President Coin and what she's doing. And it's kind of this whole thing where you got, you know, the evil that people know, which is President Snow, and the evil that people don't know, which is President Coin. And you got that, and that's all handled really well. What I like about that is it's different from other films, but it doesn't have this sense of, oh, they could lose. And in the end, whenever you watch a movie like this, you're going to know that the good guys are going to win anyway. But you never get that feeling like, oh, the good guys are going to lose and President Snow could win this. All the times President Snow's character looks like he's fighting from the bottom and is fighting in a place where he knows he's going to lose. He's just desperate. I was happy that the PETA thing wasn't as resolved as I thought it was going to be. Like, from the look of the trailer, I thought that, you know, PETA was going to be okay by the beginning of this movie, and, you know, maybe he had a little bit of resentment. From the look of the trailer, he seemed fine. He's not fine. He is not fine at all. And I will still say that the love relationship the love triangle between PETA, Gale, and Katniss is still very superfluous, very pointless, and still very, you know, don't care. I really don't care. You know, I don't even care which guy she goes with. I wish there was a little bit more of the chemistry that Katniss and PETA had in Catching Fire, because, let's be honest, that is definitely the best film out of all of them. Catching Fire is the best. And the choice is kind of, she doesn't really have to make a choice between Gale and PETA. It's strange. This whole movie is strange, and I don't mean strange as in bad. It's strange as in it's not really what I was expecting, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I guess one thing that I will want to say is that the Hunger Games franchise is a good series. They're very good. I think that Catching Fire is the only one that is great. You know, Hunger Games is a good movie. Mockingjay 1 and 2, they're good. Catching Fire is a great movie. And I think that the franchise never really gets to get to that point again. And, you know, it's like, you get good characters in the second one that when you show up, you're like, oh, great! Oh, but you don't even do anything. You know, I loved Finnick. Finnick shows up, I'm like, alright, Finnick! But you're not doing anything. I love Jenna. Jenna shows up. I'm like, oh man, Jenna, you're great, and you're telling people off. That's great. You're not even in the fight. Oh, that sucks. Oh no, that character died. Who is that guy again? Was that the second cameraman or the first? No, wait, no, that was the. Who were you? You know, there were some characters that I really like. When they died, I'm like, oh no, not that person. Whoa, who cares? There were some characters when they died, it was very tragic and awful, and I liked how, you know, some of the characters just die pointless deaths. Well, not necessarily pointless, but you know, when you have, a lot of times, when franchises kill characters, they need for them to do the sacrificial thing, you know, be the Boromir fighting off the orcs while the hobbits are there, and you know, and dies valiantly, or you know, that sort of thing. But you know, they don't need to do that. They don't need to do that with some of the characters, because this is a war, and sometimes people just die. Either give them more to do, or don't have them in there at all. I mean, I know they needed cannon fodder for these traps and everything. I got that, but some of these characters I still don't care about at all. In Star Wars, I'm comparing it to Star Wars, I don't know why. These franchises are very similar with their evil totalitarian governments and whatnot. But in Star Wars, we all had like a leg in every single fight. We had Lando in the fight against the ships outside of the Death Star. We had Han, Leia, Chewie, R2-D2, and 3PO all down on the ground on the forest moon of Endor, and we had Luke inside the Death Star. So we all had a foot in every single fight that was happening. In here, we only really have a foot into Katniss' story, and she is the main character, but we don't really have any relation with any other character at all. Would I say this is a good movie? Yeah, I'd say it's a good movie. It's good. This is not one of those, you know, game-changing franchises, pun not intended. It's just, it was a good franchise that people are going to remember fondly. Will people remember it in 100 years when Roger Rodriguez's new film comes out? I don't know. Maybe they will. Who knows? In the end, I think this movie has good action, good characters, the ones that we actually care about, especially the main character. I think that it's good all around, not great. Even the ending, which I'll get to in my spoiler part of the review, I'm not 100% satisfied with. And I will get into that in the spoiler review. But for right now, I will give... Oh, shoot, I left my laser. Darn it. I left my laser gun in the house, so I will give Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 7 out of 10. It's a good movie. It has its own problems. It has stuff that's not great with it, but it also has stuff that is pretty awesome. The tunnel scene, the tar scene, the scene where they're trying to walk in to get President Snow. Stuff like that is handled well. And, you know, it's a good film overall. Liked it. Okay. Let's get on to spoilers. This is a spoiler part of the review. Please don't watch if you haven't seen the movie. And if you don't care, you're like, oh, I'm not going to see the movie, might as well just watch it. Oh, well, whatever. I get what they're doing with the final scene. There should have been consequences. I get the whole thing where it's just like, Katniss has to choose between her own revenge and what is right for the people. I get that. That whole scene where she has to choose between shooting Snow and shooting Coin. Two things. One, it kind of sucks that in the end the movie all resorts to just Katniss shooting an arrow. I like my characters to be able to outsmart their villains, or at the very least outwill them. You know, I like for her to, you know, Katniss to be able to use her influence to get rid of Coin, rather than just be like, oh, well, let's shoot her. You know, I think there's just, there were other ways she could have gotten rid of Coin, and to just shoot an arrow, that was a little simplistic to me, but not bad. I was just hoping for something different. The problem is the ending. Katniss should have been, I don't know, killed, thrown in prison, something. Because that ending is bull. Look, the happy ending is a good thing. I don't want this to come across like characters should not have happy endings in movies. Because they should. Especially when they've been through so much. This is the moment that the feels that they're trying to go for here is Katniss has to choose what is good for the people of this world. Is it better to kill Snow and get her revenge, which he's going to die anyway because nobody's going to let him live? Or is it better to kill Coin, someone who's influenced her way and is going to be almost, if not just as bad? So she chooses to kill Coin. That sacrifice should cost her something. Her life with Peeta, her time, maybe her life in general. It should cost her something. But it doesn't. It doesn't cost her anything. She just goes to jail for like a little bit, then they sneak her out of the city, and then she just lives in 12. The rest of her life. I don't think so. Those people in 13 were extremely loyal to Coin. And you don't think there'd be some people calling for Katniss's head? You don't think that there would be people hunting her down for the rest of her life and District 12 would be the first place they check for her? There should have been either two things. You know what would have been the better ending? If Peeta and if they do sneak Peeta and Katniss out, but they're on the run for the rest of their lives. Just like how Katniss suggested to Gale in the beginning of the first one. Be like, we run and we just keep running. That would have been the way to end the movie. She and Peeta run forever. She makes the sacrifice to do the right thing for the world, but in the end she's an outcast and forever hunted down. Forever in the Hunger Games. Basically. That would have been awesome. But no, they want to give the happy ending. Well, you can't get a happy ending like that when your character does something like that. It's just, it shouldn't work that way. The character did something big. And she sacrificed her own revenge, but she should have sacrificed far more. She murdered somebody in front of everyone. Somebody who was basically the next president. You think if somebody assassinated somebody in our world, and to be fair, the Hunger Games is not our world, that there should have been more consequences. Look, I get that people like to have happy endings, but this is a moment where the happy ending should not have happened. It didn't fit. It didn't fit with what Katniss goes through. It didn't fit with anything. It didn't fit in the end of the story. Like, they say, well, you go over to District 12 for a while and you'll be pardoned eventually. Pardoned? For murder? Look, she makes the ultimate sacrifice, and that is a good thing. But she doesn't have to face any consequences for that sacrifice. That ending really bothered me. You know, you can't go the whole Frodo, it goes to with the elves off to the new kingdom or whatever they are. You know, you can't do that sort of ending when your character's last action was murder. You know, that's how I feel. That is how I feel. That if they're going to go that route, where Katniss kills Coin, you can't just end it on a happy ending. You have to end it on a hopeful ending, maybe, but not a happy one. And that's why I say they should have had Haymitch breaks Katniss and Peeta out. Haymitch probably goes to jail for the rest of his life for that. And he's willing to do it because he knows what Katniss had to suffer and go through in order to get them to this point. We also should probably see how Katniss is just on the run for the rest of her life, forever, kind of, in a way, stuck in the Hunger Games. It's like, in order for her to do what's right for the people, she had to let Snow win. Sheesh, I should have written this series. Anyway. I'm LazyDude99. I don't really have anything else to say in the spoilers. Finnick's death was great. I loved Finnick's character, and for his death just to be, he wasn't able to get through in time, and he dies because of it. It's just another casualty of war. That was actually pretty good. I wish that he had more to do, but it might have been able to. They might have tipped us off to his death if they gave him more to do. Be like, like it was in Maze Runner 2 when the guy's like, "Don't ever let me get captured by them," and I said to myself, "Oh, he's gonna get captured." Anyway, that's my review of the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. That's all I have to say. Adios. Be sure to check out more of my other videos on my channel, and wait for more coming soon.